Good evening. Figure go on one of my late night walks. I do this, just like my other walks, but I do this kind of either to clear my head or like my nighttime walks. It's either for clearing my head or if I have something on my mind, it kind of gives me a way to be able to think about it or whatever. No, I was well kicking back, playing a little bit of Zelda because I went and picked up the dad and everything because he couldn't get a tow or anything like that, which is okay. I'm gonna go back tomorrow and try and get the truck started again because I sat and messed with it for a half hour, 45 minutes before I was like, you know what, let's just lock it up. If we can't get a tow truck driver tonight, we'll come back in the morning and see if we can't get it started again because it was getting dark. So came back, sat, ate some dinner. Sorry, I still get nervous when vehicles and stuff like that pull around me. But no, I got back and was just sitting relaxing and, like I was saying, just playing some Zelda on the Switch while I listened to some YouTube. And yeah, during all this mix, like with all this stuff going on, I can't stop thinking about someone, to be honest. And just thinking about of all things, I started thinking about, I don't know what to say or how, not necessarily what to say. I'm just afraid to say it on here, and I don't know how to say it because I feel really stupid. Nah, outside of, oh, I want to be careful how I say it because I don't want it to be taken on. But outside of my kids being born, like the happiest moment in my life, like literally, and I brought this up before. Yes, it's kind of where I go in my memories, just to kind of, it's an escape. But I remember in 6th grade, I was the only one in my class that was able to go to outdoor school with the rest of the other 6th graders. I was bouncing between 3 classrooms instead of 2 because part of that I was in a special ed class. It wasn't because I had some learning difficulties in the sense of I just don't do well in large crowds or large classrooms. And I learn pretty well between a mix of hands-on and I have somebody there showing me. Visual, hands-on, that type of stuff. Reading was never really a problem for me. Reading comprehension, that was never a problem. my spoken vocabulary is way different compared to what, when it comes to my reading comprehension, it's very different. But I remember when that first came about, my teachers, because my main teachers, I was in the special ed class primarily, and then the other two classes with the other sixth graders. I transitioned into, for like certain classes and all that, like, because in sixth grade is when they would started to bounce the kids between two classes to get them used to middle school, where we had block schedules where we had four classes a day. You had A schedule, B schedule, and then high school you had like 7 or 8 classes. I had 3 classrooms. But I would get to go in with the other kids for like history, stuff like that. But it was my 6th grade teacher, Miss Metz, that went to, I believe it was her, that went to my main teacher to ask if I could actually take part of outdoor school with the rest of the 6th graders. And my teachers, so I actually had between 3 classrooms. There's one in each of the 2 classes, and then I had 3 in my primary classroom. And of the 3, there was the head teacher, and then there was 2 assisting teachers. Because the students all each in that class had their own thing, their own difficulties. Like one young lady, she was blind. We had others that were a little more on the spectrum than I was, or I am. And it was just a mix of students, that were having trouble in school and all that, with others that had trouble with different things. Well, when the main teacher in my homeroom class was like, yeah, that would be great for him. Because I didn't have many friends. I didn't have any at that time, at that moment. I had a couple, but it was mainly at school. But I never had any friends outside of that. And the main friend I had at school was my friend Chris. And then, and my friend Ricky, which his name is now Melissa. He was I don't know how to address it, because in my mind it's still Ricky. It was later, after he moved, that he went through the transition type stuff, so it's hard for me to process that part. But he was a really good kid, and he was one of my few friends that I really, I hung out with in school. Others, like my brother Nate and all that, it was whenever we were at lunch and stuff. But we had my teacher came to me and asked me if I would, it was something I'd wanted to do, and I was like, yeah, I could go hang out with my buddy Jojo for a week. That type of stuff. Because I had my buddy Jojo, which was, part of the regular classes too. And then my buddy Nate. I didn't really have any friends outside of that, yeah. And I didn't have friends that I hung out with outside of school. Sorry, I got a little bit of runny nose, so please forgive me on this part. Yuck. Thankfully, you don't have to see it. And I don't have my hanky. So I was excited about it. I thought, when I asked, they were like, it'd be like a big camping trip with my other classmates, and I was excited about it. And So she gave me the permission slip so I could take it home, and the paper stuff with the information on it and what we needed to bring with, and it was just like little like 3 or 4 sheets of paper that was included with the permission slip to go, and like how much it cost to go type thing. And so part of what was leading up to outdoor school is we'd get together with our outdoor school groups, because we were broken into groups of like 10 or 12 kids per group, something like that. And then we had our camp counselors, which was assigned to each group. And during this time, I was taking part with some of the other students on the Odyssey of the Mind. But it was some other students that ended up, like 3 other teams from my school that won that. No biggie. But that was all going on at the same time. And I remember we were separated into our groups, and being first introduced to our camp counselors. I still remember how they'd introduce themselves with their nicknames, With some of them, I can name off a few of them. You had Doc and Goofy. That was their nicknames, but it was like John, and I can't really remember some of the other names. I remember Summer, which was one of the other female camp counselors. But yeah, I still remember the one. I'm not going to say the nickname or anything. If they end up watching, they know who I'm talking about. Yeah, you'd never think that moment would affect, like, something as simple, that kind of moment would, like, sear itself. I mean, a lot of people sit back, yeah, I remember outdoor school, this, that, and the other, but when it's like a specific moment when you first see someone, and I've had this happen only, a few times before. I can definitely remember the first moments I met my kids' mothers. I can remember when I met different people. That's just part of how my memory is. I remember how I felt during each of those moments. This person, yeah. I'll just say that I have a gut feeling I know that my older son's mom and them know each other. Or have met. But I have a feeling they might know each other. I could be wrong, so... But my older son's mom hated that woman because outside of being jealous of my younger son's mom, thinking that if this person came back into my life and said, had said something, that they would take me away. No. As much as I love my wife, I don't want to go back. The way I was left was not okay. I accept my karma in the mess, but no. But that one person, my older son's mom, is right on. Even now. So that whole week, I still remember the bus right there. And I don't even know if they realized, but I still remember sitting with my buddy Jojo when we were on our way down. And I still remember when they asked one of my classmates who I was. And I still remember her asking about me. That's the funny part of it. But I didn't respond, I didn't react, I didn't know how to. Like, an angel walks into your life, what do you do? It was only within, I still remember the hikes, going by the petrified tree, going out to the fossil beds. I remember all that. Man, all I wanted to be was near that person. I felt safe around them. I felt comfortable. Like, yeah. Just, yeah, I didn't feel that way around really anybody else. Not to that degree. You know, it took years for my brothers and them to be around me for me to get comfortable enough to be able to open up, talk about certain things or whatever, or unless it's something they witnessed. That person, I would tell them anything and everything under the sky, and I wouldn't hide anything. Like, I feel really stupid talking about this, you know. Seeing, I considered that person sort of as my blueprint. You know, it was like, if I'm going to, like, back then and all the way through life, it was like, if I'm going to be with somebody, that's the type of person I wanted to be with the rest of my life. You know, and I hoped in all honesty, I don't like the fact that, you know, between life experiences, influences, you know, internal and external, you know, it put on those lenses where it obscured that vision. I should say that blueprint. And it's like when you just get that, like, 10 minutes of direct interaction, basically, of that person you hadn't seen, that still holds that spot. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what. I don't know how to put it. They're one of those people. They could just literally tie you up, lay you in front of a steamroller, and just drive the steamroller over you. I'd still forgive them. My feelings for them wouldn't change. Like, they impacted my life in such a heavy way, you know, and I'm not gonna ever stop loving them. And that's one person I keep hoping every night I actually get to see again. And having that brief reconnection again, yeah, I'm thankful for it, even though it hurts that that connection was lost just as quick. Yeah, it was having that connection again. That was a reminder that walking away from my narc was the best thing I could do. As much as I love my son's mom, the abuse couldn't keep continuing, and I realized that as arrogant or conceited as it might have been, I deserved to be with someone who would treat me better than that. That I deserved to be with somebody that made me feel as much wanted by them as I did my best to make them feel wanted by me. That I was to be able to feel safe around them and with them as they should be able with me and around me. That even when not together, there shouldn't be any fear that they're just gonna slander me, bash me, basically do what my narc did. Go on a decades long frickin' smear campaign to cost me everything and everyone. So I don't deserve that. I don't know. I deserve to be with someone better than that. That's gonna do better. Treat me better than that. And the idea that that type of thing went on for so long, and I had my eyes opened up. And for some reason, I can't necessarily act as if I don't know why, but I know seeing that person again reminded me that I'm not the person my narc had made me out to be. And I'm not the person that all these different people who have abused me or bullied me has made me out to be. Realize that, I have flaws, and I'm not a perfect human being at all, and I've got things to work through. And I'm not the monster that I was made out to be, and I know that. To keep it short, I know who my person is, and I hope they know that. And I hope I'm not wrong about it either. And until that time, I don't really have my eyes going anywhere else at this point. I'm just doing my best to focus on going forward, keep healing, and trying to move. I'm thankful I got to meet them and at least share a couple years of my life where they were concerned. Sounds so tacky and I feel so stupid. Yeah, there's so many things I'd like to say, 30 years of just bottling. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking. Now, outdoor school is probably, no, it wasn't just probably, it was the best time of my life. I remember that whole week. I remember probably a good majority of it. I can't say I remember every single exact moment. But I remember every moment with that person. And the only reason why I'm saying things this way is because I'm trying to respect privacy and all that. I'm at my folks' place now. Just walked up on it. I'm just gonna take a moment while longer to just kind of sit out here for a bit. I'll be honest, I feel really stupid talking about this. I do. I feel really stupid. No. During outdoor school, I ended up meeting my best friend, my brother. And yeah, like that, he was my brother. That's why it was so hard to let go, where he was concerned, because yeah. And I know he's still looking out, and I know he's still there. Just, yeah, it wasn't for that week. My life would have been way different. I can't say it would have been better or worse. I can't say that. I don't know. I really don't know. I just know it would have never, it would not be the same. There's a good chance, I mean, as bad as it sounds, I would have never had kids. And I recognize if I didn't have kids when I did, I would have never had kids. And one of my, some of my happiest memories is getting to be a dad. You know, I loved being a dad. I enjoyed getting to go out, go to the skate park with my kids. I enjoyed going camping and taking them camping and, excuse me. I enjoyed every aspect of being a dad. I had fun making my stepkids, you know, breakfasts and lunches and stuff, and I had fun cooking dinner for the family. I know my wife at the time, we trade off because she enjoyed cooking too. Actually, that's, you know, yeah, she wasn't a bad person. I still don't view her as being a bad person. Like, how things ended was really fucked up. But I can tell you, through that relationship, I only remember arguing a couple times with her and I arguing a couple times. But that ended the same way, basically, as it, yeah. Just with not all the narcissistic shit. I have nothing bad to say about my younger son's mom. How she left is the only thing that I can say was really fucked up. That whole situation was really fucked up. But no, my life would have been very different. I can't say the abuse would have been different. That would have happened no matter what. But the part I'm thankful for is I had been given a chance to develop a friendship with my brother Jess, and then a better friendship with my brother Nate, and of course eventually my brother Mikey. But what that did is it gave me places that I could go, and it gave me families that became, in essence, during that time period, my family. Because otherwise, like now, I'd just been alone my whole life. I wouldn't have had a family. I would have continued to spend, like I do now, holidays and birthdays on my own. I wouldn't at least had those, you know, handful of holidays and birthdays where I got to spend time with family, or got to, you know, those types of things, whether it's my own kids and family or my parents and all that. Yeah. So I mean, if that one person had not come into my life would have been far more lonelier than what it's been. And seeing them again, you know, for that brief moment online and having that brief interaction, yeah, like I told them, I said they still look the same to me as back then. And of course her response about her age is like, that doesn't matter. It's like, that doesn't matter. They could be 80 and I could be in my 70s. I'd still see the same person I saw 30 years ago. Like, they have no idea, and I just don't know how to explain it, other than I feel like a complete dumbass talking about this. It's one person I never got a chance to genuinely thank. And even in that brief moment of getting to somewhat interact, I'm just thankful I got to at least that, because that was the push I needed to walk away. Like, I would still be fighting for a relationship that never existed. And I mean, never existed. I wasted 13 years of my life. And yeah, I know that the other person didn't waste their time, because, yeah, they enjoyed every moment of it. I'm thankful that that person was at least in my life, even though it was only for a couple short months again. That was enough for me to be like, you know what? I'm not going to forget this person and how they treated me, and I'm not going to forget how they made me feel. And because of that, I know I deserve to be around people who are going to treat me better than the way I've been getting treated. This includes where family's concerned, friends, all that. Like, I was given a pretty big reminder. It made me think a lot about my brother and our friendship. It made me think about a lot of different relationships and friendships that I've had over the years. And, you know, I still remember the night I looked at my, you know, I'm going to keep calling her my narc at this point. I still remember the night looking at my narc, telling her, you know, I deserve to be treated better than this, and her laughing in my face, telling me I don't. Yeah, right. That night really told me a lot right there. That was one of the nights that the rose-colored lenses really started to fracture, because they showed me how they actually felt about me. And the idea, anytime they saw that I was trying to move on, they would assert themselves back into my life. Or anytime they found someone, they would make sure to assert themselves in front of me so that I knew that they had somebody else, because it was just how they do it. My narc gets off on doing harm to me. Like, it gets her off. Nobody ever would keep doing what they did if it didn't get them aroused. They're a sick human being. And I don't hate them for it. I just don't ever want to be in those crosshairs ever again, and that's why I need to get as far away from them as possible. I may be in my 40s and I may be burned out. I may still be dealing with depression. But it's not enough to stop me. I know I can do this. I don't know how many times I've had to restart. I don't know how many times I've ended up living homeless because of... Yeah, I've had nobody. This is what I get, and then, yeah, family will, my folks will help out here and there, but the reason why I struggled to live with my folks and all at times, and had preferred to sleep in my car, or live out of my car, or live in a tool shed and all that stuff, is because of the relationship between my mother and I. I love my mom very much. I just did not want to fight with her, and it was better that I was not living there. My dad got to experience becoming her target, and then when I was here, I would become her target. That was the main reason why my dad enjoyed having me here, is because he was no longer the target of my mother. But it just, with everything going on, just makes me wonder about a lot of other things too. No, I'm disappointed in myself and in my life and where it's at. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do at this point. I just know I've got to do something. I'm very lost, and all I can do is just try to hope I can find my way again, or at least find my way somehow through this, through all this, because, yeah. So I'm hoping by the time I'm ready to basically load my, what few things into my vehicle and my dogs, and wherever I end up going, I'm just hoping wherever I figure out where I'm going, I'll know what I'm going to be doing. So I really don't know. So, Anyways, this is my late night little walk and ramble at you guys. For most part, it was a pretty decent day. It was more or less chill and relaxing. Um, I am finding myself wishing I had a little bit of a time machine, or at least a window thing, so I could just, kind of be like, can I just go back to then and just rewatch that whole moment at least? I guess if I could relive those 2 years for an eternity, I would, because that was the happiest time of my life. And I just hope that those interactions with that person for only those couple months there before I lost connection with them again. I hope it wasn't the last. I really hope not. I know where my heart. Yeah, I'm not gonna go there. I about ready. Yeah, I almost said it all. It's just, yeah. Took me a long time to get over that person. I never did, and it's somebody I never had a chance. Yeah. It's one that got away, that never happened type thing, but was probably the best friend the best friend that you, how do you put it, the best of best friends that you could have ever had. Like, I don't know how to explain any of it. I really don't. Anyways, yeah, good night. I'm feeling stupid right now, and whatever God has planned, God has planned. We'll see what happens when it happens, and where I go is where I go, and what I end up doing is what I end up doing, I guess. It's in God's hands, so yeah, have a good night. Be safe. Try and have a good week this week, and I'll bug you guys tomorrow. Good night.